That's why they run to places like this. Now, again, when I said it, everybody was like, yo, Act is mad that J. Cole and Drake and them don't want to do interview with him. It was never about me. I am cool. Actually, go look at the majority of my numbers. Listen, when I got to 1 million subscribers, I never had no big interview. I got there by myself. I did without a feature. I've always said, fuck talking to you. I'll make more money talking about you. You know why? An interview with your stupid ass lasts one time. I'll talk about you for 6 months and make 10 times the money. Who's winning now, bitch? So I don't really give a fuck. But people thought that this was Act crying out. I seen recently, Elliot Wilson from Elliot Wilson from Rap Radar said something. No Jumper covered. I didn't even cover it, but I seen them cover it. Let me see if I could point it out. Elliot Wilson calls out Drake for only doing interviews outside of the culture. This is what I'm talking about, how people choose the messenger. Now, Elliot Wilson, definitely a more beloved figure than me. Now but he's saying the same thing I am. Now, you might be saying, what am I talking about? Drake did some goofy-ass interview or whatever. I don't know if it's a parody. Like, I don't know what it is. I'll show you what it is. But I guess people are saying, like, yo, Drake, why the fuck, you being the top of the culture, you're in bed with a fucking mimosa in your fucking hand and painted fingernails. Not, like, we thought you came here to be ranked in the, like, there was a point with Drake, I thought that all he cared about was legacy. And I thought that was so dope because being a pop star, he doesn't have to care about legacy, but he does care about where he falls in the litany of all-time rappers. But even now, I'm watching, and I'm like, yo, he's doing an interview with, like, some weird niggas from bar stools. He's doing interviews with some bimbos who don't even know what's going on. And then I looked at him like, yo, maybe I'm doing too much because maybe that's just comedy. But it looks like other people are having the same opinion. Like, this was an interview. Remember, there's a million questions to ask Drake. This is undoubtedly the LeBron of our generation of music. He is pretty much took the torch, or him and Kendrick, whatever you might call him, after Jay pretty much left it. You know, Kanye's in a run with his own. Let's not talk about Kanye, and also Wayne as well. However, the nigga don't really do interviews with hip-hop outlets. That's just a fact. What interview of Drake will you find? Interviews like this.
One was like, oh, have you ever heard Kiki, Do You Love Me by, like, Tyga?
Yeah.
You would be like,
a Karen that barely knows his music, Drake will be sitting down with.
You would fully be convinced.
Absolutely.
There's no, okay.
Now, I'm smart enough to realize I don't think Drake considers this an interview. I think Drake is trying to tap into the corny market. That market of, you know, he's kind of like an actor as well. So it's like, hey, let's do the funny Marco. This would have been better if it was like Theo Von or some shit like that. But I think Theo Von knows culture a bit, or I would hope. This was just like, yo, wait, what the fuck, right?
There's absolutely.
What's your favorite Tyga song?
Is he married to Kylie Jenner?
Exactly. That's the entire. You know. I've said to y'all, when y'all keep telling me Drake is gay for the fingernails, I said Drake has maxed out his attributes just staying in hip-hop. He needs to explore these other realms. That woman seems to be a woman that most likely is a Taylor Swift fan. You get what I mean? She doesn't know about culture. And I think that's the fan base that Drake is poaching nowadays. He already got hip-hop locked. And I think this is the problem that, obviously I try to vocalize. You hate to see when you build a motherfucker, they then don't give a fuck about you, and they're looking for acceptance from other people who didn't care about them to build them, who also don't know enough about them to even maintain a logical conversation. But it just seemed like it's just, okay, I crossed this bridge, now I can burn it. You get what I mean? And that was just my thought about all these niggas. I'm like, none of y'all do hip-hop interviews no more? Really? But if there's a white girl on a bed with you, you'll do an interview? If there's a fucking midget and a half-retarded nigga and some other nigga at Barstools, you'll do an interview with him too. If it's some sports nigga who don't know nothing about nothing, you do an interview with him. I been said this. You know what nigga said? Act, you just mad because you want to interview. Don't interview with me. Why we don't got a Joe Budden and Drake interview? Look how much, like media-wise, look how influential Joe has been. Even there was an arc, like probably around 2016 when right before we did Everyday Struggle, nigga had the sweaty T-shirt, just critiquing Drake. These days, I can't understand it. I just don't feel none of this is cultural. And just like I call a spade, just like I use Kendrick's hiatus away from music to be a strike against him, I use this shit to be a strike against Drake and them too. They don't want to have real conversations anymore. That's a fact. None of them. So anyway, this is the conversation.
So the guy that dated him? He dated Kylie Jenner?
Maybe like before like the iPhone or something. Like that's such ancient
Does
gossip.
he sing?
Huh?
He raps, he sings?
Yeah, what's your favorite Tyga song?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so that's the interviews Drake rather does, right? So you had Elliot Wilson, who basically saying what I'm saying now. This is what he said. Moment of clarity. No disrespect to Lil Boat, because by the way, Yachty had an interview with Drake, which I guess was an interview. It was more like a friend talking, but okay. Yachty's conversation, and he uses the boy, which means Drake, was comfy and had some cool moments. I was more so clowning the comedy shenanigans with outsiders to our culture. It would be great again to hear Drake speak to us, even if it ain't me. Now, Elliot, I'm going to expand what you're saying because I think it has a lot of validity. I'm going to expand it to beyond Drake. Let's expand it to all of these guys. I'm sorry to say, these guys grew up and they did every fucking interview and they always wanted to express themselves not only on wax but also in interviews when they were growing. We got to call a spade a spade. It ain't only Drake. It's J. Cole and all these things that get to the top. They basically use the hip-hop media when convenient, and then they shit on them. Except you're being too nice to them. It's not just Drake. It's all of these niggas. It's all of them. You could catch them on Fader doing an interview. You could catch them in GQ saying some weird shit. But could you catch them talking to the culture? No. So in reality, we should call it out. And will it change? Probably not, because here's what happens. The artists realize after they've gotten to a certain level of being popular, they don't need media anymore. They are the media, right? So, like, does Drake need hip-hop media, or could Drake do whatever and we're just going to cover it anyway? Does Kendrick need media, or at this point, he'd rather not get mentioned for anything but his music? So, again, I'm not saying this needs to happen, but I wonder what the goal is when I see constantly Drake talking to people who have zero idea about music and his plight. Because I look at someone like Drake who was obsessed. The nigga said he had fucking Pusha T's signature on a mic. He collected all Pharrell's like fucking Infinity Stones. Like, he's been obsessed with hip hop. But these days the conversations he wants to have don't seem nothing to do with hip hop. It seems to be on some other shit. So then I'm saying, I would like to know at least what's their motivation is, because it don't seem like they're into it with hip hop no more. It's a fact. All right, let me move on. Let me get back to this case. This is the YNW Melly case. If you guys didn't know, this is the detective who has been